nigga Dom. True players, let's go. This that true player shit. We gon' make it live with Big Dom. How they gon' knock true player shit? We gon' take it farther than beyond.
What's good, everybody? It's your man Big Dom coming live at you on the TruPlayaz Podcast episode. We have to change up a little bit for this particular episode. We're going back to recorded episodes, not the live episodes. Got my man with me, Ricky Brown, co-hosting, coming at you from Randallstown, Maryland. Am I correct, bro?
It's just B More. Just call it B More.
Baltimore. There you go, Baltimore. And you know what's missing from our podcast is our other co-host, JoeyG. You know, he's doing his thing right now. He'll be with us on the next episode. And the reason for this podcast, we can talk about the upcoming, soon-to-resume baseball season. Well, actually, commencement of the baseball season, as well as possibly resuming the basketball season as well as the hockey season. It's just because of this COVID-19 situation, I believe that all professional sports are trying to be safe about it and to prevent the rate of infection to continue. In New York, the curve is coming down. Not tremendously, it's come down enough where we're almost back to normal capacity in the hospitals. I know my hospital, we're almost back to our normal capacity. We're not looking to make extra units for COVID patients and things like that. We're going down to our regular amount of beds that we provide to the patients right now. It's a tough situation. As I mentioned in both my podcasts previously, the COVID-19 situation is crippling everyday life in America. If for some reason it just goes to show you how, you know, how privileged we took our rights on until it was taken away from us by a virus. So now we're getting antsy. Everyone wants to be walking the streets, this, that, and the other. In Michigan right now, they're doing a protest in front of the governor's office. You know, they want to be free. They want to walk the streets, but they keep in mind one thing: the only way to stop this COVID-19 from spreading is to quarantine for 2 weeks. Had we did that earlier in the process, we would not be in a situation right now where we have to worry about possibly getting a vaccine, hoping for a vaccine to cure all ills. Ricky Brown, what do you think about that?
You know, it's a sad state of affairs. Well, for the world, but really for the United States. You know, when I make that comment, we don't know how to disconnect. You know, we don't know how to be by ourselves anymore. You know, we have to quote unquote take time for me time. And then when a situation like this occurs, I mean, don't get me wrong, you get antsy, you get tired of seeing the same four walls. I get that. Mm-hmm. But people don't know how to be by themselves or with themselves, you know, without partnering or without some type of camaraderie, fellowship, or companionship. Mm-hmm. Domestic violence situations are going up because now you've got couples that are forced to be together for weeks on end. Right. You have, I forget where I saw this. I want to say it was one of those talk shows like Dr. Phil or something, but the suicide hotlines mm-hmm. are ringing off the hook mm-hmm. because people don't know what to do with themselves, and like they're getting calls from kids as young as 7 years old. Like if your 7-year-old is calling the suicide hotline, there's definitely a disconnect in your house where they can't come to you and talk about the shit.
I totally agree.
You know, I've got a couple of personal views about what should and shouldn't be taught in grade school levels. You know, I personally believe physical fitness should be an intricate part of grade school education. I believe cooking should be an intricate part of grade school education. those two alone are going to show an individual how to lead a healthy life.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, how to properly have and conduct relationships is something that's definitely missing from our educational system. And I'm not talking about romance.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you can get that relationship right between you and your homeboys, between you and your homegirls, you know, that would be the first step in developing a proper romantic relationship. You know, but we don't know how to be by ourselves, and that's a huge issue. And when we're disconnected, we're discombobulated. We don't know what to do. Right. You know, I get it. The thought of, you know, being trapped inside your house, and I can't imagine if I was living in one of those high rises right about now.
Right.
Because you step outside your front door, you're in a fucking hallway.
Right.
You know, and if you up on the 15th floor, I mean, you really want to take the steps down or have to take the steps up, you're gonna get in that same elevator that everybody else getting in order to get down to the lobby. And then, you know, certain situations I could see people being a little more having a little more intense cabin fever than others, is what I'm saying. You know, because I mean, I'm going through the whole cabin fever, but at the same time, you know, I can step out into my backyard and smoke a cigarette. You know, I can step out into my front yard and walk around. Everybody can't do that. You know, exactly. I made the comment earlier. You know, I was listening to Raekwon, Incarcerated Scarfaces, and they were talking about getting lifted in the staircases. Ain't nobody doing that shit right now. Right. Nobody passing no blunts in the staircase. In fact, ain't nobody passing no blunts.
Period.
You don't know where people have been.
Exactly.
And you don't know what they got. And in a situation like this where something can move from individual to individual, you don't even have to be passing the blunt around. If you just in the cipher with an individual, you know, you're exposed. You know, which goes back to being alone. You know, we don't know how to be alone. I thought, you know, it's kind of a two-edged sword because some of us are learning how to do it. At the same time, here's the other side of that two-edged sword. Some people are just self-medicating through social media. Right. You know, it's always been a case where people have been living vicariously through others through social media. You know, they live on their YouTube subscriptions. They live through their Facebook friends. Right. You know, they got to know what they're doing. They want to know what they're doing. If you lost your phone and you didn't have internet access in your home, what would you do? Would you be pulling your hair out? You know, would you be in the library every single day just so you can see somebody's status updates, just so you can see someone's garden, you know, just so you can see someone's lunch? You know what I mean? It's a huge disconnect, and some people are more connected. Some people are more connected to those that they're connected to on social media than those that they are physically connected to. You know, I've always made a distinction of since Best Buy. Best Buy was the last job that I had friends at work. You know, after Best Buy, I've kind of kept the policy of I don't keep friends at work. My work people are my work family. True. And I treat them like they're my work family. You know, I got a certain kind of love for them. But when I'm off that clock, I don't go seeking them out. Right. You know, there may be a reason to seek them out, and it usually has something to do with money. Oh, you need me to fix your computer, or you got a broken phone. You know what I'm saying? But other than that, I make it a habit of having a life away from my work. You know, some people can't do that.
Not at all.
You know, they have that codependent mentality. And a lot of times that codependent mentality really exemplifies itself when it comes to social media.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got a lot of people that are just living through Facebook, Tag, YouTube. I look. I'm so disconnected. I can't even think of other social media sites. You know what I'm saying? Truth be told, I've had a YouTube longer than Google has owned YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I've got people that I've been following for over a decade.
Mm-hmm.
And generally speaking, I go to them for information. You know, I'm not going to them for to find out how they doing today. You know, you posting videos of your kids and your wife and your husband and I'm not following you. I don't need to see that shit. I got a life of my own.
True.
You know, and I'll take one of my boring days over one of your exciting days any day.
Right.
You know, because I don't mind being by myself. I know how to be by myself. You know, I grew up an only child that was never a lonely child. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I think my people tried to compensate by always having me around my cousins, and you know, I have an extended family. You know, I got cousins to this day that I consider my brothers and sisters. You know, if you ever hear me talk about my sister, it's
Mm-hmm.
really the girl that lived across the street from me. When you hear me talk about my brother and sister, I'm talking about the boy that lived across the street from me. You know, they were my family, but at the same time, I always had that. I was always able to find solace in being alone and being by myself. You know, we don't know how to put our energy into things. I can put
Right.
my energy into a book.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and if I need to put my energy into something, if I need to focus on something, I could put that energy into a book that I don't even like.
Right.
You know, that to me, that's a skill.
Mm-hmm.
To be able to focus on something that you're really not into, but you can still kind of follow it.
Correct. I totally agree.
But therein lies another sickness that people are going through that's not COVID, but COVID associated. You know, people are they're they're developing mental illnesses,
Mm-hmm.
particularly being codependent.
True.
That's why they're protesting and wanting to get out. You know, if anything, they should be saying, you know what, it's the 1st of May.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see what's good with the 1st of June since we're not out the woods yet.
Absolutely.
I mean, you would think that'd be the logical thing.
That'd be the logical thing, of course. Because the thing is that the sooner we quarantine ourselves and stick to that quarantine, the more of a summer that we could have. At
Yeah.
the rate it's going right now, this type of summer we're going to have is just going to be August, and then boom, we're back in the fall season, back in the flu season all over again.
You know, and August is, in my opinion, is being optimistic.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and my birthday's in August. You know, I would love to get out there and I don't know, at the very least, grab something from the liquor store. You know, I don't drink every day, but I'm gonna have a drink on my birthday.
True.
You know what I mean? Like it'd be nice if I could say I'm gonna hit the liquor store for my birthday. But the way things are looking, it don't even look like they're gonna be open.
With liquor stores not open in Maryland?
You know what? I think they fall under that essential business category. Remember, we are a self-medicating nation. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I think they fall under that category of being an essential business.
Okay, so just want to make sure, because I know in New York we got the liquor store still open. we got lines. I go to Total Wines in the Westbury, the warehouse there. I think that's the best liquor store you could ever go to. Everything's decent price over there, very good price. It beats every price that I've seen in the other liquor store. But you know,
they letting people in like a certain number at a time.
Absolutely, they're doing social distancing.
Right
there, they're doing social distancing in Costco, Walmart, all all the larger chains of essential products that we need for everyday life. And the thing is that
same thing here.
And the thing I don't understand is, before we get to the baseball and the sports part of it, I don't understand this is the time where people need to be more selfless instead of selfish. If you get what I'm saying. And reason being is all this hoarding of products. If you don't hoard, there'll be enough for everybody, so therefore everybody can get more when the next shipment comes in. You know what I'm saying? So I just feel that I hate to bring it down to race, but it goes right back to it though. Who hoards more than anyone else?
Like the Europeans.
The privileged race, right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I had a situation. I went to Walmart, the Walmart supermarket up in New York in Levittown. I went there. This lady goes up to the register, gets 3 of everything. And the cashier was doing her job, said, no, you got to have 1 of everything. Meanwhile, everyone else was waiting on a long-ass line. You know what that lady did?
What?
She said, no, I'm not taking the stuff. She left the stuff on the register and walked out. So we got to wait the extra 10 minutes for the cashier to clear out the belt, so the next person go in there and ring. So the next person go up and get ringed up.
You know, just to kind of play devil's advocate here.
Mm-hmm.
If your normal routine is buying 3 of everything, you got an adjustment to make. Because you got to understand the situation and you got to understand the times.
Right.
However, if buying 3 of everything is not your normal situation, you're just exposing yourself as being that selfish hoarder.
Absolutely.
You know, my family, we normally get the club versions of stuff. You know, we get the 20 rolls of toilet paper or the 48 rolls of toilet paper, the 20 rolls of paper towels or the 40 rolls of paper towels, you know, depending on what's on sale and what's the better value. At the same time, we're talking about one package that has all the stuff in it.
Right.
You know, we're not switching up, and because we're not switching up, we're good. You know, what we did have to adjust to is, you know, you get down to like 8 to 10 rolls. Okay, it's time to go to the store. You know, now because of the shortages, we gotta act a little earlier. We can't wait till we get down to 8 to 10 rolls, because it might take us 8 to 10 fucking days to find, you know, to be able to find ourselves in a position of being in the right place at the right time when it's back in stock.
Right.
You know.
Absolutely. Another thing I want to touch upon is, you know, as you know, bro, you know, I'm an essential worker. I'm in the front lines. I'm one of the soldiers battling this virus.
And thank you for your contribution, by the way.
Absolutely, I appreciate that. I mentioned him in previous podcasts and things like that. The things that we go through. I have, you know, doctors who can't even be around their families because of this situation. They're afraid to bring it home to their children. They're afraid to bring it home to their parents. They're afraid to bring it home to extended relatives, things like that. And I just think that there are times that people. I appreciate the love and the respect of everybody thanking us and providing us with food, but there's a small smidge of people who are still being ungrateful, still being ingrates about the situation. They feel the need to be first. There's a saying in the Bible that says, those who seek to be first shall be last. Those who are last shall be first in God's eyes. And I need people need to really recognize that and input that in their mind, because what we're going through is a test from God. What we're going through right now, whether you believe it or not. And I want to say this: I want to thank all my fellow co-workers, everybody in the healthcare field. We lost a lot of our brothers and sisters in the healthcare field because of this virus to save your life. You know what I'm saying? And it's a sad
And,
situation. I had a cousin of mine. She lost her godfather, a prominent Haitian doctor in Brooklyn. Doctor um, I'm not even gonna say it. I'm not don't remember his name right now because my mind is on a blank. But he's you know anytime you see that happen, someone who loved the community, who didn't help. He didn't treat people because they gave him a big paycheck. He treated people because he loved people. He wanted to see people heal. You know what I'm saying? And in a few news conferences, Governor Cuomo, which I have to give a big shout out to. I give him a big shout out every time I'm on my podcast about the leadership that he's given. Phil Murphy, Governor of New Jersey, the leadership that they're providing. They're providing better leadership than the president is right now. While the president's out there trying to get ratings for his press conference, these guys are out there trying to do work.
you
They
know,
basically said,
we've had this conversation before. Our president is not very presidential. He is unfortunately an entertainer, and he's
right.
not a very good one at that. But he's more focused on being a good entertainer than he is being a good president.
Right.
And again, we spoke on this before. We've had an entertainer as president. Look at Ronald Reagan. Say what you want about that man.
Mm-hmm.
His stage presence when he presented himself, he still presented himself in a presidential way. Right. Whether you liked his policies or not, whether you think he screwed this nation over or not, you got to admit when that man got in front of an audience or got in front of a camera, he commanded the audience.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? He drew your attention, and it's about knowing your audience, being able to communicate with them. Mm-hmm. When I was a child, I had no idea what the man was talking about, but every time they interrupted your regularly scheduled broadcast, I'm sitting there Indian style in the living room watching Ronald Reagan. Had no clue what trickle down economics was, but the man had a presence. The man was commanding with his presence. Right. This president is more like an attention whore. Mm-hmm. He's not commanding with his presence. He's begging for attention.
Like a spoiled child.
Yeah. I mean, and it's ugly. It's ugly. I've been saying it since Bush, all through the Obama administration. Mm-hmm. But here now we can see more than ever how the White House is really just the most popular reality show out there. Mm-hmm. I mean, remember back when Trump's antics and bullshit, gave us laughs. Mm-hmm. And remember when he redid Drake's Hotline Bling video for Saturday Night Live? Mm-hmm. And remember when he shaved Vince McMahon's head? I don't even remember who was wrestling who, but Vince McMahon chose a wrestler. Donald Trump chose a wrestler, and Donald Trump's wrestler won, so Vince McMahon had to get his head shaved. Right. Trump antics used to be funny. They used to be entertaining. Mm-hmm. Ain't shit funny about what's going on in the White House.
It's not funny. It's not funny. It's not funny. But this is the situation that his supporters wanted. Truth be told, it's easy to clean up a drop of milk. It's hard to clean up a spill of a gallon of milk. What we got right now is like 5 gallons of milk that we're trying to clean up right now, and it's costing lives.
It is. It's
costing lives. You know what I'm saying? But I want to give a shout out to our classmate Brian Petty. He did a Facebook group on Facebook to provide people knowledge of certain products that's available. Essentials group on Facebook. His creation let the community know which stores have which items, so we go and get some items. I'm gonna give him a big shout out for that. That was definitely creative. Help the community out. Help each other out, man. You need to strong. You strong. That's all I can say about that. All day. And I want to thank him for that. So Brian, thank you for that. Definitely. So, shoot, let's get back to sports, baby. That's because it's COVID, we got no sports to watch to distract us. We're dealing with press conferences every day, especially in New York. New York, the thing is, New York, we got two press conferences. One from the New York governor. Actually, no, three. One from the New York mayor, one from the New York governor, and one from the New Jersey governor. And the thing is that we're in the process now of trying to reopen the public very slowly. But the thing is, though, my as we segue into the baseball and basketball, NBA, MLB, and NHL to get back to business, is, in my opinion, which yes is going to spend a lot of money. I believe everybody in this country should be getting tested for COVID-19. Every single person, to nip it in the butt right now. They did mention about quarantine people if they don't feel comfortable going home to their family members in quarantine in a different facility. I don't agree with that because it seems like prison. It seems like a damn concentration, a quasi concentration camp type of atmosphere, and I don't think that works. Some people got big houses. You got a 4-bedroom house, 6-bedroom house. Just close off one section, and everyone else stay in the other section. That's it. Keep it simple. Let's not reinvent the wheel. I think that's always been a problem in the United States of our country. We always try to reinvent the wheel to suit the privileged, and we need to get off that bullshit because it is bullshit.
That goes back to finding a way to connect to the people around you as opposed to trying to connect to everybody on the outside. Put down the phone, log out of Facebook for 1 minute, and have a conversation with your family. Right. If somebody needs to be quarantined, we need to figure out how are we going to share these common areas of the house. When it's dinner time, when it's time to go to the bathroom, what are the steps and measures that we're going to take in order to have a successful quarantine within the house so that somebody doesn't have to end up in a FEMA camp or a concentration camp in order for the family to feel safe. You can have a sick individual in the house that's not spreading any type of disease. And I'm not particularly talking about COVID-19. I'm just talking about sickness in general.
Right.
Happens all the time when somebody has the flu, when somebody has a cold, when somebody has chicken pox or measles or whatever. You don't want to spread that to everybody in the house, especially the little kids. Little kids are always more susceptible to colds and to measles or herpes or whatever you want to call that, chicken pox and measles and all that. At the same time, you put measures in place. Make a plan.
Absolutely.
Plan your work and work your plan. And if you fail, you fail, but at least you came with a plan. You know what I mean? Exactly.
And that's what the NHL is trying to do. That's what the NBA is trying to do. That's what Major League Baseball is trying to do, because they're losing the income from people filling the set. They're going to lose that income with people going into the stadiums, going into the arenas. They lose that income. They're going to lose that income because they can't have nobody in those facilities for possibly 18 months. They might not even have it at the beginning of the next season afterwards until they get the situation under control.
And see, my humble opinion, I think that they should treat our professional sports organizations the same way that they should be treating our schools. They should have just held things off until the next available season if they were capable of moving forward in the next available season. I'm not a big fan of this homeschooling situation. I think it's entirely possible. It is doable. And I do believe parents should be teaching their kids. But I don't think that the school year should have continued to move forward. I don't think that people should be in a rush in these organizations, the NHLs, the MLBs, the NFLs, to try to get their product back online. They are already making millions of dollars a year.
Right.
If if people are being prevented from being foreclosed on, from being evicted because of the situation, I think we can allow the Meadowlands to have a couple months off of their mortgage. You know, we can allow the Barclays Center to not worry about the lights for now. You know what I mean? And make it official. You know, write it into law, make it a bill, make it an act. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's ways that we can compensate if the individual is worried. Because I mean, let's face it, you're working a non-essential job and you're living paycheck to paycheck. You know, maybe you got things set up where you are doing the unemployment, but you still not paying the bills. Shit is piling up right about now. Do you think when they open up the state again, I'm gonna waste $200-$300 on some tickets to go see somebody put a ball through a hoop, or carry a ball across a line? And now I might sound a little extra cynical here because I'm not following sports the way that I used to when I was younger. Right. You know, I'm not in the sports, you know, the way I was. I'm more interested in watching little kids play sports, because to me, that's amazing, watching a kid do something. But seeing a grown man get paid millions of dollars to do something that a child does, to me, almost seems insane. Right. And then a person in that same organization that's doing the same thing is only making $10,000-$20,000. There's something wrong there. Right. You know, if the whole organization is doing that well, why isn't the wealth spread around? And I'm starting to sound like a socialist, so I'm just gonna leave it at that. But yeah, I mean, it's unfair, the gap in the pay rates for some of these professional athletes. And now that I'm older, it makes it harder to enjoy. I'll end up overthinking the whole situation. You know, but at the end of the day, whether you like these athletes or not, they're still human beings, and they don't need to be unnecessarily exposed because their corporate parents are missing that money that they're not getting anymore. You know, I think it's in everybody's best interest to hold things off, and I understand that they're looking to they're looking to pick up Major League Baseball. They're looking to continue the NBA season. Don't know exactly what's going on with NHL, but it doesn't make too much sense to have people traveling from state to state, constantly exposing themselves, no matter how much money they're supposed to be making. You know, constantly exposing themselves. I mean, that's what happened. That's what happened with the players on the Knicks team, isn't it? They ended up catching COVID from some Lakers players or something like that.
Oh no, I believe that was I don't know if the Knicks. I know the Brooklyn Nets. They had some players. Okay. They had some COVID situation going on there. But then again, as a devil's advocate, I'm gonna play devil's advocate. 'Cause I still follow sports. For me, watching sports is a distraction from the everyday stresses that we're seeing today. And most importantly is, let's not think about the players. Just let's keep the players out of it for a second. Think about the guys who work, the vendors that work there. We rely on that paycheck to feed their families. Concession stands, to security guards, everyone else who work at that facility. They're not getting a paycheck now because it's closed. Some of them even got laid off. Some of them got furloughed. That's another dynamic. When the baseball season start in June, if everything goes according to plan, guess what? There's not gonna be no cotton candy stand. There's no guy gonna be out there selling cotton candy anymore. There's no hot dogs no more, even though the hot dogs could be $15 a dog. But you get what I'm saying. Forget about the price. There's a lot of people that's gonna be out of a job. You know what I'm saying? But by the same token, I'm gonna go back to the impatience of this of our country to go back to regular life is the reason why we're in this predicament in the first place. We had an NBA player, Rudy Gobert, who did not take the situation seriously, was touching his hands all over the mic. He came down with COVID and infected his teammates, two of his teammates.
Oh, yeah. I heard about that.
You know what I'm saying? So you don't know what the situation is. You don't know what this virus is. Because we could all make an assumption. We could all be conspiracy theorists. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to go there on this podcast today. I'm not going to go there today. But, you know, I'm breaking one of my rules for keeping it gully. But I'm not going to do that on that situation yet.
Because you're smart. You want to learn more information first.
It's not about knowing. It's not about knowing more information. The people who watch us know the information that I'm gonna deliver. So let's keep the TruPlayaz Podcast running. So I'm gonna keep my mouth shut in the interest of fairness. If it's what I said, in the interest of fairness.
Well, I mean that sets up a good segue to touch back on what you were just saying about the associated acts when it comes to professional sports. You know, your vendors, your security guards, you know, your people who are actually depending on, you know, these paychecks. There has to be some form of stimulus set into place. And that's where your local and federal governments come into play.
Right.
You know, I don't know what New York is looking like, but here in Maryland, I think everybody's kind of guaranteed a low $300 unemployment. You know, now cost of living here is way less than it is in New York, but I can tell you, cost of living is not so cheap that $300 a week is enough. It's really not. You know, there were particularly smaller retail establishments, but there were individuals and then some big name chains that were taking advantage of the situation. They were price gouging at first. You know, our governor, Hogan, had to set up a hotline. He was like, you know, when you see something, take a picture and text it to this number. Don't call us, text the picture to this number. You know, when you see meat at $20 a pound and $35 a pound, you know, take a picture of it. You know, when you see that roll of toilet paper being sold for $10, a single roll, you know, take a picture of it, because you call us, it goes through a system, and by the time we get there, you know, they done switched a couple signs around and changed out their register tape. You know, what can we do about that?
Right.
You know, and unfortunately, it's unfair. Somebody's going to try to take advantage of the situation. If our government's going to be diligent about, you know, monitoring the situation, we can make it through this.
Absolutely.
We are entirely capable of making it through this.
Right.
And I mean that as a nation, from the lower sectors to the more privileged. You know, there is a way for it to happen. Unfortunately, the more privileged don't want to see everybody make it through. You know, and that's not conspiracy. That's just America. That's the way it is. You know, you've got people who are, I'm trying to find a better term. I want to say something better than they're used to living like this. But I guess you could say they're conditioned. They're conditioned, absolutely. They're conditioned, and they've been ready for a situation like this. You know what I mean? They've already been living off the peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. You know what I'm saying? And I mean living off of the peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, or the straight up no meat sandwich.
Right.
You know, you got 2 slices of bread, and guess what? That's your daily bread.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're the ones that are going to be more likely to make it through this than the so-called privileged individuals.
Mm-hmm. We already seen how the privileged individuals are acting right now.
Yeah. That's where your domestic violence situations are going up. That's where you've got the 7-year-olds calling in the suicide lines.
Mm-hmm.
Go in the hood, yeah, that shit ain't happening.
I don't know if you heard the news. It was an ER doctor that committed suicide because of the situation of COVID.
I heard about that. That's sad, man.
It is very sad. It's very sad. You know, as a healthcare professional, a lot of people don't know the stresses that we go through on an everyday basis. They just don't know. They assume, they think, oh, but you don't know. We're not robots, we're human beings as well. So when we try to put on a brave face, we see someone who is young who's passing away, or someone who's old who's passing away, we feel it. But our job is, like my late mother told me, she always told me, because when I came into this field, she said, Dominic, I've been a nurse for 40 years. Whatever you do, don't let any patient or their family member see you sweat. Because the minute they see that sweat drop from your forehead, they don't trust you. So you gotta put on a brave face. You gotta be confident in what you do. You gotta know what you're doing.
Most definitely.
In order for them to believe in you, because the patient the patient may be unconscious, they can feel your confidence, and then they'll give a reason to fight to live.
And you know what? Let me throw this out there to you, because I'd like to get your take on it. This was a conversation that I've had with an ex of mine. She was in training for nursing or whatever.
Right.
And I had mentioned that, you know, no one ever thinks about the toll that it takes on you mentally and spiritually to lose a patient.
Right.
Even those who don't emote readily, it still builds up inside of you. And it's since having this conversation with her, knowing that she was in training to become some type of healthcare provider, it was my opinion then, and it still is now, that there should be some form of mental health assistance available for healthcare providers, particularly in situations where the loss of life is involved. Our police officers, you know, when a police officer shoots and kills somebody, they are mandated by their jurisdiction or by their squad or whatever to actually sit down and talk to somebody about it, because they just took a life. Right. You know, what about somebody that's actually trying to save a life and they weren't able to? You know, I know it's got to be stressing.
It is stressing, but in my healthcare system, which is the biggest healthcare system in New York, state of New York, we do have that available to us. We do have a hotline to speak to somebody.
Available, but is it mandatory? You know what I'm saying? Like, you lost a patient. Let's at least do a breathing exercise. You know what I'm saying? Take 10 deep breaths. You know what I'm saying? Do something before you just go back to work.
We have huddles. We have huddles to discuss what happened, to get our minds right. We have a comfort station in my hospital. We have a conversation where there's a chair there. If you want to unwind, you sit in a little massage chair, which is lovely. They say you only should be sitting there for 15 minutes, but you would
look like you daydreaming about that massage chair.
Listen, it is something that will take your mind off the daily stresses of being a healthcare professional.
Right.
It really helps. It really helps. And I want to thank my healthcare system, you know, Northwell Health System, you know, they did their thing, providing us with all the support that we need, not just professionally, but personally as well. And that I can say that that's what they do.
That's a good thing. That's a good thing. I think that needs to be instituted in all healthcare systems.
I'm sure they do it in all healthcare systems, but the only healthcare system that I know about is Northwell, because I'm an employee of Northwell.
Right.
So, and that's what I represent. You know, that's it, man. We do what we can do through the power of God, plain and simple. You know what I'm saying? We're battling. We're battling something that we encountered Ebola, we encountered swine flu, we encountered all these things, but nothing like this. Nothing like this. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, know a lot. Fauci, Dr. Fauci and Cuomo was concerned about the minority community, Latino and African American communities, and why they're dying more of the COVID-19 situation. Most important one thing I have to say is it's the facilities that they are provided to go to. One, two, it is ourselves as well. We have a hard time following directions. Also, a few days ago, there's 1,000 people at a freaking party in Brooklyn. And social
what's
distancing.
up with that?
I don't understand it. I don't understand it. And also, the mayor of New York took on the Jewish community because they had a funeral of mourners of 2,500 people.
What?
Yeah, they had that. And but between me and you, his career, his this probably his last run as mayor anyway. So he done stuck his foot in the grave with that move. But we got to be smart. That's the problem. We have to think about more of. We all want this to end. So how's it going to end? We just have to listen and just sacrifice what we love so much, just so we can end this and go back to our normal life. If we continue down this path, we're going to enter a new normal.
Yeah, if you think you're uncomfortable with this new normal, it's only going to get worse if we I get it. You want to break free of the rules. A yard man might say, "Man can't take program," but guess what? This is for our own good. It's for our own safety.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Never mind who caused this, where it's coming from. The fact of the matter is, there's something out there that can hurt you and I.
Right.
And if there's something out there that's going to hurt you and I, it's probably going to be in our best interest if you and I don't necessarily just get together.
Right.
Because if something happens to you when we get together, now it's going to happen to me, and vice versa. If something happens to me and we get together, it's exposure.
Exactly.
Exposure.
Exactly.
If we had a proper quarantining in place, which I honestly don't see a way to 100% quarantine this entire society, because there are essential jobs out there, and we could poke fun at the liquor store staying open, but thank goodness the Walmart is still open. Thank
Absolutely.
goodness the grocery store is still open. Thank goodness that there is a place that you can go to get your meat and your vegetables, your juices and your sodas and your waters and stuff. Because if they weren't open and everybody got shut down, we'd be hard pressed to be able to even open back up.
Right.
Because if everybody was ordered to stay home, and I mean literally everybody was ordered to stay home, and we took a month, those people that live on the farm, they may be able to keep their situation current. Like they may be able to keep their product turning over. They may end up having to throw out a lot of product, but they would still be able to go out there and work their land. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
But that meat packing facility, how many animals are going to die because nobody's going out there to feed them? That brewery, how much of their hops is going to spoil that they're now going to, now that they're reopened, they got to reorder and wait for a shipment to be delivered in order to produce the beer. You know what I'm saying? Little things like that were are probably what went into the thought process of the whole quarantining situation. We got a meat packing plant here in Maryland, up in Northeast Maryland, up there by Delaware. There's been an exposure risk.
Yeah.
And we're looking at national distribution not just here in the state of Maryland. If they shut that plant down, there's going to be a meat shortage.
Right. You know, Tyson's going through that right now. The people coming up positive for COVID.
Yeah.
What's his name? So with an S. Smiths. Was it Smiths?
Smithfield.
Smithfield.
Yeah.
Also, they got an issue. As well. Like I said, we just got to get this under control, and I believe we will if we make the sacrifice necessary to do it. You know, that's not just us. Everybody has to make the sacrifice. You know what I'm saying? So let me segue back into sports right now because the NBA is going to reopen May 8th. I believe May 8th, and the NHL is looking to follow suit as well. They're still working out the kinks of how to open up cleanly without spreading the virus even more. Like I said before, the only way you can do that is if you test all the players rather than then and there and call it a day. And if they come down with symptoms, immediately quarantine that player away from the team immediately. And I feel you're gonna open up because they're gonna play in with arenas with no fans in there. You're gonna hear a lot of cursing that you never would have heard if it's like 50,000 people in the stadium. You're gonna hear a whole lot of cursing. You're gonna hear them bicker with the referee. You're just gonna see a telecast on your television screen to give you some great distraction, much needed distraction that we needed right at this time.
Look, I can't comment on now, but back in the day, it used to be a game with me to read the lips of the athletes, particularly in football and basketball.
Absolutely.
They're swearing their asses off. And the worst ones out there are the coaches. It ain't even the players.
Nah, the coaches are badass mofos.
Shit, let somebody let one of the officials mess up on a call.
Oh, forget it.
I learned at an early age how to read bullshit on someone's lips. Like watch professional sport coaches. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. But now, with the baseball season also trying to get started, they're hoping to get started in I believe it's either early June or mid-June, with an adulterated baseball season with about 100 games. I'm not sure how they're going to do it. I think most of the games will be be in Florida and Arizona to minimize the amount of traveling. They broke it up into, they're going to be realigned just for the 2020 season. Let's see how it goes. I hope they don't keep it. I like to go back to where it was before with the American League and National League, with the 3 divisions each. But in this scenario, the Major League Baseball season is going to be broken up to 3 divisions. In the West, you're going to have the Dodgers, the Angels, the Giants, Athletics, Padres, Diamondbacks, Rockies, Rangers, Astros, and Mariners. That's in the Western Division. So you have a mixture of American League and National League baseball teams in the same division. In the Central, you have the Cubs, White Sox, Brewers, Cardinals, Royals, Reds, Indians, Twins, Braves, and Tigers in the Central Division. In my opinion, you could put the Braves in the East and put the Toronto Blue Jays in the Central. They're pretty much close to the Central than they are to the East. But they have neither here nor there. In the Eastern Division, where you have the Yankees, Mets, Red Sox, Nationals, Orioles, Phillies, Pirates, Blue Jays, Rays, and Marlins. And I believe the reason why they did...
Question, didn't the Blue Jays become the Nationals?
No, that was the Expos.
Oh, okay, the Expos. Okay.
Expos.
Okay.
In which possibly, probably in the near future, there's been I got family in Montreal. There's been a hunger by the fans in Montreal to have a baseball team once again. In which possibly the Rays may be going to Montreal to be the new Expos. That's in the works from Tampa because they're not drawing enough people in their stadium. Okay. That's one of the possibilities, or they just create an expansion team because it is, I believe, 32 teams right now, but the leagues are like unbalanced as far as you have I believe there is 16 teams in one league, and I believe 15 teams in the other league. So that one team will make everything even up again. One more team, expansion team, would make it even up again. But like I said, this baseball season, I used to play baseball, so this is very dear to my heart. They're going to be playing about 100 games, anywhere from 100 to 110 games, which will end in October, I believe in November. It's going to be later into the season than normal. And I don't. There's going to be a designated hitter for the entire season. There's not going to be pitchers hitting, which I know. I'm a purist. I like National League Baseball to be with the pitchers hitting and the American League designated hitter, but they're not going to do that this year. Every team's going to have a designated hitter. I hope they expand the roster to about 30 players. Usually it's 26, but I hope they expand to 30. One of the ideas that's been thrown out there just to get back on the field. Like I said, the most important thing is testing. The format, the realignment, I don't agree with because I feel that there's ways you could do it much more better than this. Keep the Western teams in the West. Keep the Western teams and the Midwestern teams. Keep them in the West. Make it like the NBA setup where the West face the East for the championship instead of the way they're doing it now. It's still unclear to me how they're going to do the playoff setup within this new alignment. You're going to do the top 10 teams square off, or you're going to do the top, I don't still understand the whole aspect of the wild card and the divisions. They're still working the kinks out. We'll see what happens. But I know if it was me, I would make every team on the East Coast teams, all the teams on the West be the West Coast teams. They're going to play each other.
Yeah, because you mentioned Arizona's in the Central, like, and that doesn't make sense.
They're actually in the West.
They're in the West? Okay, that makes sense now.
They're in the West. But that's, like I said, they should keep everything break it up that way. Have two divisions. Have the top 5 teams in the playoffs, with the top seed being get the bye, and do it like that. The way they do it right now, like I said, is confusing. But like I said, I hope to have some type of sports back on the screen. Like I said, to take away this distraction from what we're going through on an everyday basis. You could only watch Game of Thrones so many times over.
You mean the first 5 seasons?
Oh, Game of Thrones? Listen, I got my shot of Tennessee honey right now. Don't let me choke on it now. But this is the situation with this. Like I said, the situation we're having right now, and I want to apologize for my fans of TruPlayaz Podcast. I know I've been missing in action for a whole month since this pandemic started. Reason being, I have to focus on my primary job, which is, saving lives of people who are immune deficient, who are not healthy, who got caught up in a bad situation with the virus. They encounter a family member or a person on the street who had this virus. My folks had to be on taking care of that business and making sure not only them making sure they heal, to make sure I'm also safe as well while I'm healing them. So I send my apologies for that. I'm trying to hit you guys up with more episodes. Of course, I got my co-host Ricky Brown here. I got JoeyG coming soon, on next episode. We'll talk more about COVID and things like that. I want to have a big podcast, Ricky. You know what I'm saying? I want to have a big podcast because I had a before we go into The Last Dance a little bit, we're going to talk about The Last Dance a little bit about that. I want to have a big podcast. I need the females to step up and answer the bell. Don't be scared. Come on the podcast. Let's have a nice little conversation between men and women. Okay?
Let's do it.
Without us yelling at each other, without casting any dispersion on each other, without putting each other down. Let's have a real conversation about what's wrong between the aspect of the relationship between a man and a woman. Or if you guys are part of the LGBT community, just basically your relationships also. We're not going to just keep it to a heterosexual situation. We do understand we live in a different time frame now, in which we have to accept the alternative lifestyle also as well.
Well, see, that goes back to what I was saying about people not knowing how to have, just regular relationships.
To go take a shot.
Let alone romantic ones. We don't know how to be by ourselves. We have this codependent mentality where we we rely on the next individual's energy.
Right.
And to an extent that can be beneficial, but it's detrimental when that is your MO. That becomes detrimental. If that is your only source of sustenance in your relationships, it's feeding off of your partner's energy, your brother's energy, your sister's energy, your friend's energy, your coworker's energy. And don't get me wrong, I understand what it's like to walk into a workplace and everybody's attitude is down.
Right.
Especially on Mondays. I'm usually that dude that comes in and says Happy Monday, just to kind of lighten the mood. I've had former coworkers that I've come across years in the future. That Happy Monday actually changed things around. I actually had one girl said that she started doing it.
Right.
Mondays don't have to be so dreadful. Yeah, you're coming back to work off of the weekend, but especially now, let's put it into perspective. You're there to make money.
Right.
You can't, unless you're working one of these quote unquote essential jobs, you can't even do that right now.
No.
Better be thankful for the Mondays. You know what I mean?
Well, think about the healthcare workers. We have no such thing. We have no such thing as weekends off. There is no Happy Monday. There's no thank God it's Friday.
Right.
We 365, 24/7.
Yeah.
It is what it is. So keep in mind. Let this remind you of this situation remind you of the privileges that you had before, and learn to appreciate it more and learn to respect it more instead of taking it for granted. So we on there for an hour. We're not even ready to end the podcast yet. It's getting hot right now. We're going to talk about The Last Dance, the documentary of Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls, 97, The Last Dance, which is the last year they were together from 97 to 98. Spoke briefly about it on the previous podcast that I did live, and I'm going to get into it more with you. And the thing I like about this documentary was how they started off with Jordan's career in North Carolina. Explained to him his struggles. He got cut from the high school team. He came back harder, worked harder, made the basketball team. Then he ended up going to North Carolina, winning 2 NCAA championships while he was there, beating Patrick Ewing. Anybody who's a Knicks fan, we all know Patrick Ewing. And we all know what he did what Michael Jordan did to the Knicks many times over the 90s.
Ooh.
Yeah. So I watched the first 4 episodes, and the thing that touched me, that I had to take a lesson from that too, is you're not gonna get anywhere. You're not gonna achieve greatness if you don't work hard for it.
Yes.
And
Michael Jordan is the perfect example of that, because he grew up a baseball kid. He loved baseball. That's where his heart was. But he figured out real quick he had a skill, and he's able to excel with basketball. And his coaches told him, if you're not giving it 100%, you're not going to make it. So that's what he had to do, because see, therein lies the difference between a talent and a skill. Talent is something that you're blessed with. Talent is what you got. Skill is something that you work on. He had the talent, but he put in the work to build up a skill.
Right. He had the undeniable drive to win.
Yeah.
So he did whatever it took to win. He even had to hurt teammates' feelings. He had to throw a punch at a teammate. He had to get to a fight with a teammate because he wanted to win that bad.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? He called out his teammates. I loved
Who was that? Mikhail, I think it was.
No, Kerr. He called out
Kerr, Steve Kerr, yeah.
Steve Kerr. And I don't want to get too far in.
They both respected each other after the situation.
Exactly. And that's the reason why Steve Kerr became a two-time we won a three-time NBA champion as a coach.
Yeah.
Because of that situation. He would not have gotten that job if he did not go through that experience. So even me, I have to understand when someone who's been there, who's achieved success, comes down on you hard, it's not because they hate you. It's not because they want you to quit. They want you to succeed because they believe in you. So me myself, I took it as a lesson. I gotta learn to put my ego to the side and just take the criticism and just try to work harder in my own craft, whatever I do. So I'm in a lot of things right now, which people tell me I need to focus on one thing, but if I focus on one thing, my weakness, I get bored with it. So I need to focus on many things. So I keep myself interested, and work harder. But like I said, Michael Jordan, no matter just me watching the games that he played in, this gave me a certain energy that I don't have for anybody else. Yeah, if you ask me 15 years later around when LeBron James retires, I'm here sitting watching LeBron James. Watching LeBron James play does not give me the same energy as watching Michael Jordan play. Yeah, plain and simple.
Well, now I'm saying this as someone who doesn't watch LeBron,
right?
Because I'm just not watching in this era.
Right.
But in my humble opinion, I'm gonna say about LeBron the same thing I said about Kobe.
Mm-hmm.
Keep watching.
Mm-hmm.
Because Kobe retired on top.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? He retired in greatness, but he had to get to that greatness. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. He dunked on Jordan. Yeah. He outperformed and outsmarted Shaq, and he did this and he did that. But even Michael Jordan, it took him 7 years before he got his first championship.
I think it was 8. I thought it was 8 or 9. It's probably 7 years because he had to go through the Pistons. He had to go through those rough series with the Pistons where he was getting his ass.
I'm at 7 years on the Bulls.
Yeah, 7 years on the Bulls.
Right.
And the fourth and fifth, and I think the fifth, sixth, and seventh. I think the fourth, fifth, and sixth, he was going through them Pistons.
Yes.
Was beating the shit out of him.
You mean the Detroit Brawlers?
Yes, bad boys.
That's who they were.
The bad boys.
It was not a game. You go to Detroit, you better be ready to fight.
Mm-hmm. They were beating the fuck out of people. You know what I'm saying? And how he rose. They beat
the shit out of Jordan.
Oh,
dude had to bulk up.
They made Jordan a better player.
They did. They
made Jordan a better player. But Jordan didn't achieve his greatness until he got with Phil Jackson because as much as a good coach, yes, he taught Jordan how to be a team player, how to play team ball. Whereas
and you know what? It was interesting watching that evolution from being it was interesting watching the evolution of watching the goal change from being the league's high scorer to trying to build a championship team. Because there was a price to that man's greatness. You know, when he started, but early in his career, he was more selfish. The selfless MJ built the championship dynasty.
Right.
And when his heart wasn't in it, and his father got killed, he stepped away from it.
For a year and a half.
Yeah. And when he came back in the middle of the season, you could tell, you knew he wasn't the same.
No.
Because again, the difference between talent and skill. He still had his talent, but his skill had diminished. And it was interesting because one of the further episodes, I know you still on the 4th episode, but I got up to 8. They talked about that year that he had came back, and he realized he wasn't where he needed to be in order to perform properly.
Right.
So at the same time, he had signed his contract with Warner Brothers to do Space Jam. And he told the producers, like, yo, I need to practice. I need to play ball. They said, oh, we got you. We already built a court for you. Yo, this dude had all-stars playing pickup games with him.
Wow.
Ewan, Miller, Stark. You know, like you know,
he had the players with him.
Yeah, 2 people sit out. You know what I'm saying? 2 others jump in. You know what I'm saying? Like it was a straight up game, and there were no refs. There were no refs. There were no coaches. You know what I'm saying? It was all about rebuilding his skill.
True. And the one dynamic I love to talk about. I didn't know Phil Jackson was a hippie like that. Phil Jackson was such a hippie. And I saw in the episode 4 with Rodman that they were more alike than anyone thought they were. They're both
most definitely. That shocked me.
They were like both what's that word I want to say? Off the cuff type of guys. They were just weird. They're just both weird guys.
Yeah.
Dennis was like, yo, Phil, I need a vacation. I need to go to Vegas. And I remember what Jordan said. Jordan was like, yo.
If you let him go to Vegas, he ain't coming back.
He ain't coming back in 48 hours. Especially he kind of Carmen Electra, you know. I mean, that's probably the only white girl I would love to have more than 48 hours with myself. But
technically Latina.
Oh, she's Latina. Oh.
Yeah.
Better.
Oh, yes. You get a pass.
Oh, yes. But, you know, that man, Dennis Rodman, was a wild man. But he came from humble beginnings.
He did.
In the Pistons.
Son of a school bus driver. Same thing with Scottie Pippen. I mean, to me, Scottie Pippen's episode where they focused on him, like that was moving.
It was moving, but I didn't know he didn't get paid what he should be getting paid for.
I do remember that. I do remember. I remember him sitting out, you know, one year.
But the thing is, though, he did sit out. But the thing is, you're the owner of the Bulls. The owner of the Bulls told you should not sign that contract because you're worth more than that. And he still signed the contract. With full knowledge knowing that, the owner said, if you sign that contract, I'm not going to renegotiate it. Because he told you himself, if I was you, I would not sign that contract. Think about it for a second. Food for thought.
I mean, you live and you learn.
Right.
You live and you learn. And it was undeniable that this dude was the number 2 player in the entire league.
Yes.
He was only second to Jordan in the entire league. And yes, he did deserve better. He did deserve more. And this is something that we've also seen and learned in the industry, that when you sign your life away and sign your rights away, you're stuck in that contract.
Right.
Unfortunately.
Right.
Hell yeah, he deserved better.
So did Jordan. But Jordan didn't make much money either, according to his talent.
You can't argue that.
And truth be told, Jordan didn't really make the big money until I think when he after he came back for 95, when he came back and started with the second three-peat, he was making $30 mil a year for those 3 years. He didn't make that money before that.
Word?
No, he didn't make that money before that. I mean, if I had the opportunity to sit there and research it more, I would probably guess he probably made his max. I would say, like I said, I'm just guessing possibly like $10 million a year. I'm guessing. I think I'm over projecting it, but I think about $10 million a year. You know what I'm saying? You know, if he's playing in this era with LeBron and stuff like that, he probably making freaking 40 million, 50 million a year, based on his talent. But this is not me. I know people who are LeBron fans say I'm shit on LeBron James. No, I'm not shit on LeBron James. LeBron James is the best player in his generation.
Most definitely.
However, how he achieved his success was like basically, I need to get players around me. I need to get my friends around me to help me win. Instead of trying to compete, like have the competitors. I'm not saying he's not a competitor, but the competitor Jordan and Kobe, he's not in their league.
Well, see, therein lies what happened in LA, where they knew they had a breakout talent, and they built a team.
Mm-hmm.
They built a team around that talent. That's what worked in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
That's what worked in LA.
Mm-hmm. First was Shaq and Kobe, and then Shaq was traded, and Kobe had to go with Pau Gasol and Lamar Odom. That created a whole different dynamic, a different championship team.
Now, I can't comment about what's going on in is he in Cleveland now?
He's in Los Angeles, in the Lakers.
Los Angeles?
Mm-hmm. He's with the Lakers
Left
now.
Cleveland again?
No, he left Cleveland. Yep.
God damn.
Yep. He left Cleveland again. So, yeah, but I mean, not shit on LeBron, but some with LeBron is a little bit missing for me. You know what I'm saying? Whereas with Kobe and Jordan, there was nothing missing for me. I was like, yo, these guys, they get online. These guys are freaking assassins. They're coming to kill you.
Yeah.
They're coming to kill you. It wasn't even an argument. They were coming.
Look, they made the comment when BJ Armstrong was playing for the Hornets, mm-hmm. and they beat they put a spanking on the Bulls in Game 1 of the Eastern Conference,
mm-hmm.
and that was when he had came back and he was 45,
mm-hmm.
and BJ Armstrong was like, yo, I went back to the locker room. I was feeling myself, and then I got brought back down to earth because somebody said, 45 ain't 23.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like the light bulb went off over his head. He's like, why did you say that? And sure enough, the next game, he was back to 23.
As a matter of fact, it's funny you said that, because before we started the podcast, I was looking at an interview with Charles Barkley and John Calipari did a little podcast, some Zoom shit they were doing with each other, and told me a story. They said a story about when Jordan was on the Dream Team. Michael Jordan, Charles Barkley, and Chuck Daly, the coach of the Dream Team, they're out there playing 18 rounds of golf, right? They were done playing, and Jordan told Chuck Daly, the coach, he's like, yo, Chuck, I'm going to play another 18 rounds of golf. Chuck's like, yo, Chuck and Barkley was like, yo, we got a game tonight. Like, don't worry, I'll be there. And all of a sudden, he did his 18 rounds, went straight to the game. They were playing against Puerto Rico. Now, Chuck was telling the people who they're guarding and things like that. And Jordan was like, listen, I want the point guard. He said, what? Jordan, you played 36 rounds of golf, man. What do you need? You gonna play? You gonna play the point guard? He said some shit about me on TV or in the paper or something like that. Yo, according to Charles Barkley, Jordan did not let that point guard for Puerto Rico dribble the ball.
Damn.
He said, don't you? He told this poor boy from Puerto Rico who didn't know no better. Don't you fucking talk about me? I'm Michael Jordan, bitch.
Yeah, it is.
It
is.
Shut that poor Puerto Rican boy down. I'm like, Jesus Christ, that's how much of an assassin Jordan is, man. That's why you sit there and you just be like, yo, that's greatness right there. You be like, damn.
Did you see the Dream Team episode? Like, I don't know what episode 4 left at.
Episode 4 left off with Rodman. That was a Rodman episode.
Okay.
I didn't go that far yet. Don't blow for me. Don't blow for me.
Okay. All right. I'm keep my mouth shut.
I'm still waiting. Hopefully they go to the Knicks and Bulls in those episodes. I'm hopeful.
They touch on it, but they didn't look. They didn't. I'm gonna tell you as a native New Yorker, you're gonna be happy about the fact that they acknowledged it, but you're gonna recognize the fact that they did not go in the way that they could have or should have. Because I mean, the Knicks had 2 main rivals, Chicago and Indiana.
Yep.
I tell people all the time, those semifinals, the conference finals. Back in my era, those were more exciting than the actual NBA finals.
Truth be told, though, the East Conference, New York Knicks and Bulls was the NBA finals.
For real.
In my opinion, because whoever came out the East during that era was going to win the championship.
All day. I think I told you about that day that in Turtle Hook. The homeroom bell rang, and we still in the lobby talking trash about the finals and about who's gonna do what, and this was before the conference finals. I think Indiana had to play New York,
right?
And it was me, you, Joe, Chris. I want to say Justin was there. Yeah, we were sitting up there talking mad shit. And the comment that I made, and this is the first time I seen Coach N get pissed off. The comment that I made was, "Does it really matter? We all know the East is gonna win." Coach N was like, "Hold up, wait a minute."
Oh my goodness.
He went from telling us to go to class to hold up, wait a minute.
That was good times.
It was that real back then.
It was real. It was real back then. But definitely though, it was good times. I'm looking forward to the other episodes with The Last Dance. I'm gonna tell people, we spoke a little bit into the future, but that's we didn't give too many spoilers, did we? I hope not. But I'm going to segue to the last part of the podcast, which I'm not going to take too long about it right now, D, because the thing is that the thing that bothers me, we lost a lot of people due to COVID. We lost Fred the Godson, one of the rappers that died because of it.
Who?
Fred the Godson.
Really?
Yeah, he passed away of COVID.
I'm just hearing that.
Yeah, he passed away, a week ago.
Damn.
Yeah. And last time I seen the video of him, he looked like he was getting better and stuff like that. And then, something happened to him. But this is, and I've seen few people on Facebook talking about, I lost a friend to COVID. It's a tough situation, but by the same token, this is how, we as minorities in our communities are not prepared for the inevitable, which is death.
True.
I provide a service where I can come up with, I would try to help my clients provide financial solutions within their situations. You know what I'm saying? I gave you the presentation about the financial education, how important it was, and you tell the people how my presentation was and how you were you want to be more educated in finances.
Most definitely. That goes back to what I was saying about a lot of the things that I think that are missing from a normal or from our grade school education.
Right.
To be actually literate in this world, not just in this nation, but in this world, you need financial literacy.
Absolutely. I mean, if you could spend $600 a month on a car note, you could invest about $100 into a life insurance policy, at least.
Good.
And I'm seeing people say, posting on Facebook, posting on Instagram, doing GoFundMe to fund their loved one's funeral. And I'm sitting there. I said, "Oh, that's nice. I'm proud of people donating, but it's not a donation that's really necessary if you protect yourself from the inevitable. We all die someday."
True.
If you have children, do you want your children to have an okay life, or do you want to live their best life? And this in turn comes to the financial education and providing solutions for their situation. Sit down. If you want to sit down with me have a financial plan done for you, I can do that for you. All you have to do is just email me or DM me. I'll leave the email at the end of the podcast about that. But we as a community need to get off the GoFundMe situation and put in things to protect ourselves from these things way beforehand. Way beforehand.
And you know what? That honestly goes back to what I was saying about how socialism actually does work. It's just not going to work for a nation. Socialism works in your household. Socialism works on your block, and it works in your community. Anything past your community, socialism starts breaking down, because what's happening in this community may not be the focus of that community.
Correct.
In Uniondale, the focus may be red dinner plates. In Hempstead, the focus may be green drinking cups.
Right.
You can't expect the people in Hempstead to start investing in red dinner plates if their focus is green dinner cups.
Right.
Just like you can't expect your neighbor to focus on your spinning rims. You know what I'm saying? It'll work in your household. It'll work in your block. Anything past the quote unquote community, that's when it starts breaking down. But that's why you see certain communities, like in every city you go to, there's a Jewish section, there's a Chinese section, there's the Black Muslim section, and I'm saying a separate Black Muslim section from the actual quote unquote diverse Muslim section. The NOI people. They have what's funny about it is they never consider it socialism. They're just looking out for their own, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But this is why every major city has a Chinatown, has a Jewish section. You know what I mean? It does work, but you don't see the whole. You don't see all of Baltimore City putting into one pot. That's not going to work.
Right.
You don't see all of New York City putting into one pot. I mean, well, technically you do. We call that taxes, but that's another discussion.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. But I mean, beyond that, it's not going to work. So with that in mind, to tie it into what you were saying, you got to have some form of a safety net in place for yourself.
Not just for yourself, for your family members. Do you want to rely on GoFundMe to fund your burial?
And they're getting more expensive every year.
Absolutely. Like I said, I keep telling my people, come, listen to what I have to say. If you don't want to listen to me, listen to one of my partners who will tell you exactly how we as a minority community be financially empowered. Think about it for 1 second. I think about it for 1 second, guys. Think about it for 1 second, D. How do you think the top 5% of income earners doing during COVID? Is this COVID affecting them or not?
It is affecting them, but they're not affected. Does that make sense?
They're not affected, period. They're still good.
Right.
You know why? Because of the tax advantages of their solutions, that the tax advantages that their particular solutions that their financial planner did for them makes them good.
Right.
You don't see them losing 30% of their 401k or 403b because of this COVID situation. You're not seeing that.
They might have lost a couple dollars on those couple of stock market crash days, but they still good because
still good.
Like you said, they got a diverse portfolio already set up.
That diverse portfolio and a planner who provided with the protection in case of a downturn in the market.
Exactly.
It's okay to buy stocks, but what's protecting you in case the stock market crashes?
You still have your savings because you can't rely on your checking.
Well, savings. Well, let me tell you something. Savings is going to give you, on average, savings will give you an accrual of about less than 1%.
Oh no, I didn't mean a savings account. I meant a savings period.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But you need something that's going to enable you not only give you a benefit while you're living, but also provide a legacy for your future, which is your children, your grandchildren, and your great-grandchildren afterwards. And my thing is a lot of people mention the solution is life insurance. But let me ask you a question, D. Do you want to go to somebody who's just offering you life insurance, or would you want to go with someone who will give you a financial solution to your particular situation?
I want the whole package.
And
Don't just break me off a piece of the pie.
And that's what my team provides. We're not gonna go out there and post on Facebook what other insurance companies don't do for you. Not only say that, but also fabricate a lie that can get your company in trouble for lying about what you provided. That you're the only company that provides. We don't have time to do that. My company, which is WFG, what we focus on is providing you solutions for your particular situation, and to ensure that you, your offspring, and your offspring afterwards can live the best life possible afterwards.
Word. Through
the decisions that you make. And we are here to provide you with the solutions, not just life insurance. We don't fabricate nothing. We sit down and talk to you. You may get tired of us after like 4 or 5 meetings, but the most important thing is we don't provide you with the situation that's going to provide you for your future and your children's future and your children's future afterwards.
The education is the most important part of that. It is the most important aspect of that.
Absolutely. So, all my TruPlayaz Podcast fans, who's listening to TruPlayaz Podcast, listen to what I'm telling you. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me at TruPlayaz Podcast at gmail.com, which is TruPlayaz Podcast at gmail.com. You know what I'm saying? So, Ricky, you got any final words for this podcast?
Yeah, everybody out there that's listening to this, just take one day and log out of Facebook. Or at least just shut off the app on your phone. Mm-hmm. And do yourself a favor. Call somebody your parents' age that's not your parent. Right. And I'm saying call them, not text them, not email them, call them. Mm-hmm. They don't even have to be a relative. Just call somebody your parents' age. Mm-hmm. Just say hello. Ask how you doing. If they hold you on the phone for an hour, just bear with it. Because you know what? Probably ain't nobody else talking to them. No. So that little hour out of their time is probably like nothing. It's seconds, it's minutes to them. But check on somebody. Check on somebody that you don't normally check on. Absolutely. That auntie down south. That cousin in the foreign country. Right. Call somebody and actually have a conversation with them.
Absolutely.
Get you a calling card if you got to call overseas. Or set up your WhatsApp or your Digicel minutes or your Boss Revolution or whatever you do. Absolutely. You know what I'm saying? Call somebody. Make audio contact. Hear what they're saying and just talk to them. Give yourself a 5-minute minimum to actually talk to somebody.
Absolutely.
And do not put a limit on how long you're allowing them to talk.
Absolutely.
But let them get it out. I'm saying that because I got a call from an aunt this morning, and I was huffing and puffing and rolling my eyes because I'm on the phone with this woman for like over an hour. But at the same time, you know, this woman's got like 8 kids. She's actually telling me ain't none of them call her. You know what I'm saying? Like,
wow, that's crazy.
She's the one doing the calling around and checking up on her kids. You know what I mean? And that made me think, you know, tomorrow I'm just gonna go through my contacts and find somebody my mother's age.
Gotcha.
So I'm challenging anybody out there who can hear me to do the same thing. Find somebody your parents' age and give them a call.
Absolutely.
Not a text, not an email, not a smoke signal. Or give them a call.
Right.
And you know, it's important that we actually have some type of human connection. And I know that's not being on the phone with someone is not the same as physically being there.
Right.
But I can guarantee it's better than a thumbs up, a double tap, or a like on a picture or a video. Absolutely. You know, it's better than that like, share, subscribe shit.
Absolutely.
You know.
Definitely.
And then that's my closing words.
I got you. I appreciate that, bro. My final words is for my healthcare brethren: be strong, be brave, keep the fight going. We may have turned the corner in New York, but we still got a long fight ahead of us. Just keep positive. If you need somebody to talk to your coworker. Call up the hotline that's available to you. Use that hotline to keep yourself mentally sound, because we're in a tough time. Watch people die at the alarm rate that we're watching them. It's not normal. We got to keep strong because we got a job to do. God empowered us, give us the power to heal people, and that's what we have to keep doing. So we keep that focus going. We'll push through. With God willing, with the strength of God, the strength of our faith in God, we will pull through this situation. And for all the other people, especially the minority community, the Latin community, the African American community, and all communities, come sit down with a financial plan to provide a solution to your situation in case the inevitable happens. Death doesn't knock on the door and tells you, "Hey, I'm here." It just comes. Protect your future now. Don't rely on GoFundMe. If you have any questions, you can definitely contact me. My TruPlayaz Podcast, TruPlayaz Podcast @gmail.com. It's TruPlayaz podcast @gmail.com. Also, one of my final words is be selfless. Stop being selfish. If you go to a store, Walmart, consider that worker is putting their health on the line to ring your groceries, to ring your appliances that you need for your everyday living. Be mindful. Be mindful of what they put their life in for you. They tell you you can only have one. Just take one and say, okay, I'm sorry. Thank you. Just ring me up and you have a nice day. We all would like to hear that. Be selfless. Don't be selfish. And that's it on my end. My next TruPlayaz Podcast episode, I hope to have Ricky Brown back again with me, along with my brother. Along with my brother. These guys are both my brothers, both my family, JoeyG and Ricky Brown. Hopefully we get another. We're gonna do a live podcast on Facebook. Also, get JoeyG's podcast going, Venting with JoeyG. Get that going as well. We're trying to build a community of love, family, and prosperity in this group that we were trying to do. And we hopefully, with our work, we'll be able to have our own serious radio channel where we can provide real content to the people. We're not here to report first. We're here to report the right information. And that's what we strive to do here on TruPlayaz Podcast. That's what we try to do on Venting with JoeyG. And if Ricky Brown has a podcast coming up, we're gonna try to deliver the same message as well. We're not here to be the first. We're here to be the right one, the right source of information. Like I said, you can listen to this podcast on JoeyG Radio, Spreaker, Anchor, YouTube, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Soundcloud, IHeart, and TuneIn Radio. Search for TruPlayaz Podcast on all these platforms. definitely subscribe to the podcast. I'm definitely going to try to give you more content on the podcast because I know I've been missing Ash for the past month, but I promise you I won't do that again. So, on behalf of Ricky Brown, on behalf of JoeyG, who's not here with us for this episode, it's your man Big Dom signing off for this podcast. Peace.
Shout out to my nigga Dom. TruPlayaz, let's go. This that TruPlayaz shit. We gon' make it live with Big Dom. How they gon' knock TruPlayaz shit? We gon' take it farther than beyond. This that TruPlayaz shit. We gon' make it